I guess the question is, what's the purpose of leadership? I mean, and I'm framing that, or I'm asking that from the standpoint of who gets chosen over who, and why is that even necessary? Why does there need to be a choice? Why can't we all just do the same thing? What's the purpose of leadership? Why is this person a leader and this person not a leader? In the majority of, because in reality, aren't we all leaders? You would tend to think so, but you would be fooling yourself to think that we all lead at the same pace, or we all have some type of leadership experience, or we all have some type of leadership responsibility. That's what I want to say. We all have some type of leadership responsibility. Yeah. And we all have to start somewhere. There are fortunate people who had great leadership in their family line before they became leaders. So they literally learned from their family line how to be a leader. In a lot of cases, they're the most effective because they got they received the opportunity to watch wonderful leadership before they had the responsibility of leading. I was speaking to my cousin recently. We were talking about my uncle and how he led his family, which is the reason why, that branch of our family is so successful in so many ways. Long marriages and that sort of thing. And, of course, some economic success, some financial success. I'm sorry, not economic success, but some financial success. But my uncle was a great example, and what's interesting is he passed away at a very early age. But because of his leadership, my aunt didn't have to work another day in her life because of his leadership. My cousins married similar type men because of his leadership. They were very stable people because of his leadership. So servant leadership is massively important, not just for the sake of being successful, but for the sake of moving a culture forward. Some of the challenges that I've seen in leadership is that leaders will get enamored with what God has blessed them with, and forgetting that the purpose of the blessing is not so you can sit there and say, wow, let me take on more stuff, but to dole it out to more people in a systematic way based upon the principles God taught you. Another thing that's interesting to me is that God made everything under the law of seed time and harvest time, as an example. Hot and cold. That's the reason why some people who believe that there are no hot and cold cut counterculture what the word says. There are those who don't believe in the nature of hot and cold. Good and bad, right and wrong. seed time, harvest time. They don't believe in this covenant that God had made because of the obedience and the righteousness. Well, actually, the obedient is inside the righteousness. And maybe we'll get into that a little bit further. So really, it's because of the righteousness of Noah. Because of his righteousness, there is seed time and harvest. Cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night. Why am I saying this? I don't know. But I think it's important that you understand that there is a system. Is pretty much why I'm saying this. You are blessed for the purpose of being a blessing. There it is. If you are the subject of being blessed, you have become a leader, a servant leader. Now, there's a responsibility to be a blessing. In Genesis chapter 9, verse 1, and I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to move forward just so that I can lay a foundation so that you understand the thinking behind this. Because if you've been following this in these 33 videos, what the mindset that I want you to have going into the rest of the Bible has been laid straight up. Because you have to change your mindset to understand the nature of how we got to this point, and God blessed Noah. He had blessed Adam. Well, I can't go there right now because you won't understand, and that'll turn into a whole lesson. You know, because technically Adam wasn't righteous. Oh, God. Yeah. And when I say Adam, keep in mind I'm saying Adam and Eve. But, you know, that goes off into a different line of teaching, which I can't do right now today. And God blessed Noah and his sons, no mention of his wife and their wives, and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. That's the blessing. The blessing was work. So let me expound on that a little bit. They had favor to be a blessing in their community. Your favor is not so that you can get. Your favor is so that you can do. There are too many people who revel in their favor because of what they can get instead of what they can do. It's not the purpose of favor. The favor of God is for doing, not for getting. Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth is a command. That's another dimension of it. If you're walking out the blessing, you have attached to it a command. So if you got your fears attached to your blessing, And because you can be blessed and still have your fears, and you're not willing to overcome your fears, you stymie your growth because of your fears. You can't even see it. Some realize it and just accept it because they rather live with their fears than replenish the earth. Genesis chapter 12. Sorry, daughter. I'm going to do some jumping because I want you to see this. Verse 2. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. That's a command. Thou shalt be a blessing. If you have fears, thou cannot be. If you're coveting, it's hard for you to be a. If you're competing with, it's hard for you to be a. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, the pride of life, in other words. You're hindering your own blessing. You're conditioning your willingness to replenish the earth. It's up to you. If that's the position you choose to take, you're hindering not only yourself, but you're hindering others. I'll only share one more. Genesis 48:14 through 16. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid upon Ephraim's head, who the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh, I don't know how to pronounce his name. My Jewish brother reminded me. His head, guiding his hands wittingly for Manasseh, the firstborn, and he blessed Joseph. Wait a minute. These are Joseph's sons. How did he bless Joseph? Because these are those he had blessed to replenish the earth. Both sides of Joseph. For you religious folks who believe only you and someone else of another religious ilk. Anyway, you would have to follow the bloodlines of Ephraim and Manasseh to understand that they were both blessed by Israel. And he blessed Joseph and said, God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long until this day. Verse 16, the angel which redeemed me from all evil blessed the lads, with an S at the end, L-A-D-S. And let my name be named on them, plural. And the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Now there's something to the right hand of God and the left hand of God, and again we can't get into that, and quite frankly my mindset isn't there to teach that anyway. I would have to read, study it and that sort of thing, because there's a preference. But both were blessed to replenish the earth. Under the name of the kingdom of heaven. I'm not ready to say that right now because, I'm just trying to get you to a place where you can actually receive the ultimate of who God is in your life. Yahweh. The one without vowels. The Nisi, the Sikkenu, the Prince of Peace, the great I am, the great creator. Going back, Genesis chapter 9, going back, verse 2, Genesis 9 and 2, and the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and upon every fowl of the air. You have dominion over the fish, over all that moves on the earth, upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Verse 3, every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb, I have given you all things. The flesh with the life of thereof, the blood thereof shall ye not eat. This is where the vegans kind of jump in and say, see, only vegetables. Well, there were sacrifices and burnt offerings, you know. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Let me explain this just a little bit, and we'll probably end here since I'm 17 minutes in. Verse 6, let me read this first. To 7. Whosoever sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. And you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. So let me explain it. Let me dive into just a little bit, because I can't touch on every dimension of everything. First of all, I probably don't understand every dimension of everything, number one. And number two is it would take us down too many rabbit holes. But let me just address it from the dimension, like I said before when we started this new Genesis series, that, you know, I can't touch on every dimension, but I want to touch on the dimensions of the spirit, of the body, and of the mind. The idea of having dominion and being a servant leader is so that you can move forward from generation to generation into legacy, the principles of the kingdom of God. You are blessed to be a blessing means that if in your lifetime, you, as an example, you buy a house, pay off your house, have all these great riches and everything else, and you leave your kids out to dry, leave no insurance, no real estate, no nothing, and then they have to start over. You have done a few things. Number one, you have not left them something to build upon. Number two, you have not taught them by experience what this whole thing is about, to be blessed, to be a blessing. I'm only using the family because another dimension of that is in business. Another dimension of that is socially. It works in every dimension. You are blessed to be a blessing. Your purpose is not to get as much as you can and then leave the earth. The earth. It's to be obedient to the call of God on your life, which is righteousness. I said I would, and that's what to be obedient for righteousness' sake, and to leave legacy to your kids of righteousness. Not just your personal kids, Those who look to you look to you for leadership. Because of the blessing on your life, you are blessed to be a blessing. That blessing is the replenishment of resources, whether it is a human soul or the animals. To shed blood is not to be a blessing. It goes counterculture to be blessed, to be a blessing, which is a reason why there's a price to pay for Genesis 9, chapter 5. I'm sorry, Genesis chapter 9, verse 5. He's talking about the results and giving you an example dimensionally of what happens when you shed blood. When you decide to destroy, which we all, and again, well, not all, but a lot of you understand in the New Testament that one spirit comes for a purpose of destruction, another one comes with the spirit of replenishment. Is that a word? I'm not sure. But to replenish. One comes to steal, one comes to give. One comes to kill, one comes to make alive. One comes to destroy, one comes to heal. Walking in your fears draws out the worst. You think you're entitled to fear. You can't fear and be a blessing. Because fear is not faith. I was hurt before, and you're probably still hurt now because you're talking about your hurts. CashApp $TheMrPaulDozier. CashApp $TheMrPaulDozier. Although I think Mr. Paul Dozier works too. Zelle, paulcdozier@gmail.com. If these videos are a blessing to you, please like and share them with others. I have to get more consistent with the outro. Thank you for taking a journey with me as we explore the kingdom of God and we usher in the kingdom of heaven. Blessings.